Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
From AI-inspired insights from farmers.
If you're enjoying what we're doing here, we'd love to hear from you too.
Absolutely.
Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and definitely leave a comment telling us what you want to see more of on this deep dive.
We're always looking for new ideas, and we really value your feedback.
So what farm-related mysteries are you dying to uncover?
Right.
What questions are keeping you up at night? Let us know, and maybe we'll tackle them in a future deep dive. Welcome to the deep dive. Imagine running a business where your costs are just soaring, but your revenue, that's shrinking. And finding staff, good luck. That's pretty much the reality for many farmers today. We've dug into some key agricultural reports, university research, expert analyses, really tried to pull out the essential nuggets for you, especially to understand this incredibly complex and honestly pretty daunting economic landscape.
It really is a challenging picture. Our mission here is, well, to cut through some of that noise. We want to show you what truly matters for your journey, especially if you're maybe thinking about getting into farming or are relatively new to it. We'll explore those economic pressures, the ones really affecting whether a farm can stay viable. And also look at the innovative, sometimes really surprising strategies farmers are actually using to navigate all this.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. Farmers are facing this severe margin squeeze. Think of it like this. The price you get for your product is going down, but what it costs you to make it, exploding. We're seeing projections, for instance, for corn and soybeans to decline even further for the 2025-2026 marketing year. Corn around, what, $3.90-26 marketing year. Corn around, what, $3.96 marketing.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating and, frankly, deeply concerning is the sheer asymmetry here. You mentioned crop prices dropping. Well, they dropped over 5% between January 2011 and November 2024. But in that exact same period, input prices, think chemicals, fertilizer, fuel, they surge by a staggering 37.5%.
Wow, 37.5%.
It really is. And it makes sense then that fertilizer specifically is like a top 3 concern for almost 79% of farmers. Right. And it's not just fertilizer putting the squeeze on, is it? Diesel prices, I mean, they're absolutely crucial for pretty much everything on the farm. They more than doubled compared to pre-2020 levels. It's something like 5.71 ton a gallon back in June 2022. That alone was projected to hike fuel costs on farms by 34% in 2022 versus 2021. Just massive.
Massive. And then you add interest rates into the mix. That's another cost, right, for financing equipment and land. And there's not much relief in sight there either. They're projected to drop maybe 50 basis points in 2025. That's only 0.5%.
So, yeah, 0.5% isn't much help. How are farmers even managing? Especially when their net cash farm income, that's kind of like their take-home pay after core expenses, is projected to drop almost 20% just from 2023 to 2024 in the heartland.
Exactly. It raises huge questions. This whole escalating cost environment, it directly hits those big-ticket purchases. Like farm equipment. New tractor prices, just as one example, have wildly outpaced inflation. We're talking increases of 275% to 287% since 1990.
275%. That's almost unbelievable.
It's like trying to buy a new car when, your salary just got cut and the car price has tripled since you last looked.
So that puts immense pressure on the budget. With that net cash farm income falling so sharply, it makes sense that farmers are, well, really focused on preserving working capital, keeping cash on hand. And that naturally hits new equipment sales, right? Though, interestingly, you still see high interest in precision ag tech.
That's a key point. It suggests a strategic shift, doesn't it? Maybe it's less about expanding with more acres or bigger machines right now, and more about survival through efficiency, optimizing every single thing they do.
Yeah, that intense focus on optimization really underlines the financial anxiety out there.
Absolutely. Our analysis showed, I think it was 76% of farming businesses are deeply concerned about inflation, and 61% are actively worried about just meeting their outgoings, their day-to-day costs. It forces some really tough decisions on the ground. Most farmers feel this huge pressure to adapt, to innovate, really just to keep the lights on.
And we hear that echoed from the field, too. It goes beyond just the balance sheet numbers. Labor shortages are a big deal. Many find it very difficult, or at least sometimes difficult, to recruit the staff they need. Plus, you have raw material shortages hitting everything from animal feed to crucial spare parts for machinery. It just adds another layer of complexity.
So, okay, what does this all mean for you, the listener? Maybe you're looking to get into farming, or maybe you just want to understand its future. Well, proactive planning and really strategic management, they aren't just nice to haves anymore. They're absolutely key for viability. And farmers are actively exploring different ways to adapt to stay in the game.
Right. The University of Delaware, for example, highlights 3 core areas. First, just operating more efficiently, constantly looking at mechanical needs, optimizing labor basically, doing more with less. Second, strategically keeping cash reserves handy to offset any shortfalls. And third, trying to lock in lower interest rates on long-term debt whenever possible, reduce those financing costs.
And we're definitely seeing a real embrace of new tech alongside that. Farmers are adopting practices like variable rate or VR fertilizer application. That means using precision tech to put fertilizer only where it's actually needed, cutting waste. They're also looking at alternative nutrients like manure or even microbes. And while, conservation practices like cover crops or diverse rotations are growing, there seems to be particularly high interest in these newer tech-focused solutions.
So this deep dive really reveals that strategic planning, that efficiency focus. It's just more vital than ever for farmers today.
Exactly. And for anyone aspiring to farm, understanding these pressures, but also these adaptations is crucial. Actually, as a kind of bonus insight here for easing that squeeze, think about a few resources. Federal farm subsidies, for one, they average about 13.5% of net farm income, so that can be a potential funding stream. Also, maybe explore opportunities to join cooperative buying groups, or even just share equipment with neighbors to split those high costs.
Sharing equipment, yeah, that makes sense.
And definitely leverage tech tools, things like AI for specific tasks, or that variable rate fertilizer application we mentioned can really help optimize inputs and cut down on waste.
So lots to think about. The question for you is, what strategies will you consider to make your farm resilient in this clearly evolving economic landscape? We hope this deep dive helps you navigate the complex world of modern agriculture.
We hope this exploration has been valuable. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Hitting that like button and smash that subscribe.